Hello, everybody. I'm a practicing therapist and a doctoral student of psychology. Today, we're going to talk about a topic that was requested. What you guys are wondering is, what do avoidants hope to hear when they shut down? And this can be shutting down as in they detach momentarily. It could be that they're detached after an argument. Sometimes it even could be that you guys haven't talked in a while, depending on the relationship or what happened. But these are some of the specific things that I've seen, but I'm going to summarize it at the end, but I'm also going to add a little bit of clarification in the beginning, which is now, to help you guys understand. The main consensus of this, from what I've gathered as a therapist, is that avoidants want to hear you take some sort of accountability. And I'm going to give you versions of that throughout the video, but that's kind of the short version of it. They want you to take some accountability to some extent, and also in conjunction with you giving them some time to process. And it's usually like in a way where you're not too upset about it, or if you are upset, you're not holding it against them and you're processing it on your own. That doesn't mean you have to avoid your emotions, and that doesn't mean that you can't have emotions at all. It just means that avoidants at least want to hear this at least once throughout that time where they are shut down. And the first one is something along the lines of, if you're saying, if I came across overwhelming, that's on me and I apologize. So let's break it up. If I came across overwhelming, meaning that you take some accountability that, okay, I could have been a little bit too much at that time, at least from their perspective, and that's on me. So now you're taking accountability and you say, and I apologize. It means that you're taking some credit for what happened, the breakdown of communication, but also it helps avoidants to feel comfortable knowing that if they want to apologize as well, because a lot of them do, especially if they love you, that they're not going to be the only person apologizing. And the reason that they have this wound actually comes from their childhood, as with most of our wounds that we pick up in our life, picks up in our early childhood. They were the one that always had to fix things and be, they had to predict what their parents wanted and become the best version of themselves without expressing emotion. And so hearing somebody apologize is very comforting, because their parents never apologized to them for a lot of things, and they were not supposed to apologize either. And I know a lot of you guys wonder, why do avoidants not apologize? Apologies were framed as something avoidants are not supposed to do. Like, it's a sign of weakness. It shows that, sometimes it's even like it shows that there's distance between you guys, because avoidants, some of them have this weird perception that like love is something that is completely unconditional, and that you guys can almost read each other's minds so close to each other. And it's not healthy. It's very idealized that, apologies don't even need to matter, because you should know that, everything's going to be okay. And you can see that in family functions as well. And it's not healthy at all. And so parents of avoidants, a lot of them, at least one is also an avoidant, they might tell you, don't apologize, it's weak. I remember my dad would do that all the time. He would always tell me, don't apologize, it's weak. Don't ever apologize. I'm your father. Why are you saying sorry to me? Why are you saying sorry to anybody? Never apologize. You are you. You change that if you need to, but never apologize to anybody. That is what I was taught. Now, my dad might be an extreme example, but I know that a lot of avoidants have that experience, because I work with a lot of them who also had a similar childhood. And so when you apologize, it first of all teaches them that apologies are okay. It also teaches them that they're not going to be reprimanded if they apologize as well, but it also means they're not going to be the one that's always picked on to fix themselves and change, because you are also doing that. It really creates a safety. The next one is, I'll give you your time. Pretty obvious, but I'm still going to explain it, because what's obvious to me might not be obvious to you. If you're saying, I'll give you your time, you're saying, I know that your time and how you perceive your time is very important, and I want to respect that. But I also am giving you that because I believe that we're going to have a connection afterwards, and I trust and appreciate that you're going to come back around. That's usually the assumption they have. And part of it is because there's a part of them that wants to know when they need to process and when they need to shut down to some extent. Are you able to be patient with them? Because if you guys are going to get married someday, they may not be able to fix this right away. And so they want to know, can you tolerate those things? If you can't, that's fine. But sometimes they need that. The next one is, I just wanted to let you know I have no ill intention in my communication. Anything like that, right? You can even say, I hope you believe me. I'll leave you be until you're ready. But the most important part is, I have no ill intention in my communication or how we communicated. This is really important. Avoidants have a fear of being manipulated, of their trust being broken, of you having an ill intention. And sometimes just clarifying that can really, really, really make a difference. I actually recommend all of you guys to try and see, if you feel close with your partner, to say this even in general. Just wanting to let you know, if it ever came across that way, I never have any malice in anything I'm saying. And if it ever came across that way, I'm sorry. Even if it has nothing to do with them shutting down, this can really help you bond with an avoidant, because they really feel somewhere inside that everybody's out to get them, and they always have to be on their guard, because a lot of avoidants were taught that way, right? You're independent, you're by yourself, you never trust anybody. My dad used to always say the only person you can trust is yourself and the money that you make, right? And I remember he would even say, even the properties that you have. My dad has a lot of properties. He said, he still has to pay taxes on it, right? And so he always says, even I can't trust that because I have to pay taxes, and so it's not fully mine, right? So that's what he says. And he's always saying, like, the only thing is the money that you make. And that's, a whole nother thing, because then he'll go into a whole spiel of taxes and whatever. But the point is, avoidants teach you, like avoidant parents teach their children, and, then that child becomes avoidant, and the cycle continues unless they heal, that the only person you can trust is yourself, basically. All these little things, they're all out to get you. They're trying to take your money. They're trying to live in your house. They're trying to change you. They're trying to trick you. And so if you say that, it shows them that you're not that way. You're not the person that they're afraid that you are. Another one is, I understand if you need your time. I can relate to that. If you're a fearful avoidant, this is a really good one. I'll check in tomorrow if that's okay. Otherwise, I'll leave you be. Whatever you want to mix it up. But if you can relate to that, let them know. Because if you're a fearful avoidant, they're a dismissive avoidant, you saying that makes them feel like they're not strange. Avoidants, especially dismissive avoidants, feel very defective. They feel like there's something wrong with them. They feel like they're different, and they are different, and that's okay. But they're like other avoidants. But the issue with avoidants, specifically dismissive avoidants, is they don't go out of their way to tell everybody in the world that they are a dismissive avoidant. A lot of them avoid it and pretend like it's not true for like as long as possible. I had a lot of issues accepting that I had any sort of avoidant characteristics, let alone a full-blown attachment issue, because it's just embarrassing to admit the things that you're not good at. You're not good at socializing, for example. You're not good at expressing yourself. You're cold. You're detached. You're mean, selfish, whatever the words that people say. When you say, okay, maybe I have this problem, it's almost like saying all those words are true, and it hurts. And so a lot of times dismissive avoidants have this feeling of being defective because of the words that they were taught. Plus, dismissive avoidants in of itself don't have like a little community of dismissive avoidants. Not the same way that fearful avoidants do, not the same as anxious preoccupied, because dismissive avoidants are very, very independent. And so they feel very defective, and they don't know that there are other people like them. I think part of the reason I was able to heal is simply because my dad was so clearly avoidant that I started to realize, like, when I was a kid, my mom thought like whatever I had was genetic from my dad, which, whatever, it's not true. But because, I don't know, no one else of her children was like that. And so she's like, oh, it's genetic from your dad. And the other kids got her genes, which maybe. But that feeling felt very like I was defective because I'm like my dad. And that's like a problem because he didn't ever know what was wrong with him. And he doesn't know where he got it from because he felt like no one was like him. But I feel like part of the reason I healed is because I had somebody that I could point to and say, oh, that is something that he struggled with his whole life. And I saw how his life turned out, right? Like if I didn't see how his life turned out, maybe I wouldn't have changed. But I had that constantly reflecting in my face, him avoiding commitment, him avoiding being told what to do, him getting into a lot of issues with so many people socially because he didn't compromise or express himself. And I started to see, okay, there is some truth. I am like him. Do I really want my life to be entirely like that? As much as there was a part of me that was totally okay with it, there was another part of me that realized, okay, that's a lot of like issues just because you really want to be alone. Like, so it became so obvious to me that he just would make his life so much harder because he didn't want help from anybody. And I started to part of me realized that, plus I had to hit rock bottom, which never mind that, but I learned that. And so that's why when you mention, hey, I can relate to you, I understand you need time, avoidants feel really connected to that person. And the last one is, I don't want us to fight and I know you don't either. Let's move away from the issue. Does that work for you? Whatever version it is, it really helps them to know that You guys are okay. Your relationship is not ruined because you had this fight or this issue, that you are still there for them and they're there for you. So let's summarize and we'll wrap it up. If I came across overwhelming, that's on me and I apologize. Next one, I'll give you your time. Third one is, I wanted to let you know I have no ill intentions in my communication. You can even say, I'll leave you be until you're ready. The fourth one, I understand if you need time. I can relate to that. I'll leave you be and I'll text you tomorrow. Whatever your version is. And the last one is, I don't want us to fight and I know you don't either. Let's move on. Does that work for you? I hope this video was helpful to somebody. Please like, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.